Gabby the game night, Gabby the game night, Gabby the game night, yay.
Let's continue, shall we?
Sometimes the most magical thing of all is the truth. You walk in on a murder and the first thing you do is shoot the clown. The disciple does what the disciple must. My mentor's request without reason had caused me a surfeit of sorrow. For what would I, valiant, be now without him? May the soul of Magnifi the Great find greater peace above. This I muttered to myself as I pulled that lonely trigger. In any case, I believe this is nothing more than what we have already learned. I'm still waiting for one of those right moments, Herr Attorney.
I remind you that, Baser.
No, shut the fuck up.
Okay.
You're a pain in the ass. Did the doctor say anything concerning the cause of death? Why, yes. I believe he screamed, "My God, he's been shot in the head!" And I would have penned the requiem that arose in my soul at that horrid sight. Whatever happened to good old-fashioned investigation? In any case, I believe this is nothing more than what we have already learned. Well, I don't see you penalizing me, so guess what? I'm gonna keep on pressing. I don't think I'm stepping out on a limb to say I have some doubts about this. How could the doctor be so precise with the time? We do usually only get an estimated time of death, true. I'm not sure I've heard of a verified time of death. Magic revels in the making of the complex appear simple, but the reality is the opposite. What appears complex in this case is a simple matter of subtraction. I see another person who's done their arithmetic homework. The point here is the IV the victim was taking. It's quite visible in the photograph of the scene. Recall what we heard earlier about the victim. The victim? The victim, Magnifi Grammary's schedule. Every night at 11, Magnifi took an IV drip for 30 minutes.
I can see the IV bag right there, yes.
Now look a little closer. Follow the tube down from the bag to the end.
The nail's been removed.
Doubtlessly, it fell out when he was shot.
That shouldn't be the case.
Really? When the needle comes out, the IV no longer drips. You could just measure the remaining IV liquid. Precisely. The IV liquid functions, for our purposes, as an hourglass of sorts. This is how the doctor determined the time of death. From the amount remaining in the bag, it was determined that the IV had stopped 10 minutes after administration began. And so it was, when I, Valiant, entered that room. 10 minutes had passed since that horrible crime was committed. And this is proof.
Well, Mr. Wright?
Did that seem important? I don't know, Phoenix. Well, seeing how it is the biggest clue we have at the time of death, I'd say it's very important. Agreed. It would be hard to imagine a more precise way.
Time. All the power of arithmetic.
Fuck yeah, math rules.
Very well. The witness will add this detail to the testimony.
Sometimes the most magical thing of all is a good stiff drink. The water of life springs not eternal. The remaining IV liquid proves my innocence. Did you notice the IV yourself by any chance? When first I entered that room, the stench of gunpowder assailed me. Next, the mark of death upon my mentor's forehead. And then his left arm did I spy, a rose, drooping and wilted. Its thorn, the discarded IV needle. Knocked from the vein by the force of the shot, luckily for you. If that IV had not been there, why, you might be a suspect. Indubitably so. I might say it's thanks to my lucky color. Your lucky color? Indeed. Even today I wear it proudly upon my suspect self. For it always, without fail, brings me luck. Why, when Zack and Valiant won their first Magician's Grand Prix, yes, the very one held by the Association of International Magicians, I was adorned in this attire then too, and our trophy a bust. What a day that was. Excellent trip down memory lane no one needs. My lucky color, yes indeed, and that IV too. I say I think 'twas hued especially for me, Valent. That does seem to be the case indeed.
Well, Mr. Wright, any thoughts on this testimony?
Valent sure looks happy with himself. Okay, how about this lucky color testimony? And could there possibly be anything to do with the color he's wearing?
I have no clue.
Is he saying the IV was his lucky color?
I don't know.
Because he's clearly wearing yellow.
Yeah.
I can't do anything there, though, so I guess not.
Yeah, you're probably presenting the picture by saying contradiction here, right?
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, that IV, I say, think 'twas hued especially for me, Valent. I missed that. I was too busy.
You presented the picture, didn't you?
I didn't present it here, though.
You did?
I presented it back on the time of death
yeah,
thing.
you did. Try presenting it here.
I will. Just give me a second. Apparently there was a contradiction. Your Honor, sorry about all that fucking around earlier when we did this, but... Mr. Valent, your lucky colors betrayed you. I'm afraid you've lost me. Your Honor, the witness's testimony just now clearly contradicts the evidence. What? Please recall my warning at the beginning of the cross-examination. Bailiff, I think the judge has gone insane. Shoot him. Don't worry, I've got all your bases right here.
Very well. Well, let's hear the defense's claim. Where is your evidence that contradiction? Stop. Pause.
Damn, I hear music still.
But it's different dialogue.
The crime scene tells all, Your Honor.
For all the crime scene, it doesn't always stop.
All this talk of color has me yearning for black and white, clear-cut simplicity. Tell us, Herr Wright, just where's the contradiction in this photo? My pleasure. And I assure you it's quite simple. But I can't promise anything in black and white.
Let's hear what Mr. Wright has to say. When this photo contradicts the witness testimony, the IV...
It's interesting that they're dressed the same. Green on the clown, green in his robe. They got the same hat. I wonder if that's ever going to come up. What do I... Oh, X. Valent Grammar, let's get one thing straight about your lucky color. It's yellow, yes? Kind of takes the mystery out of it, but yes.
Something wrong with yellow, Mr. Wright?
Yes, there is. Decisively wrong, in fact.
Okay.
Take another look at the photo of the crime scene.
What's this?
Confusion? Doubt? Tell us, what do your elderly eyes spy?
Even my elderly eyes can see there's a problem here, Mr. Valent. Look at the IV bag.
Ack! What is this? What foul magic? It would be hard to call the IV liquid yellow, and I'm afraid no magic was involved in the taking of this photograph. Alec, no! Oh my god, he really did have the doves and the bunnies.
That's actually fucking hilarious.
Order!
Order! What does this mean?
This is some kind of mistake.
Yes, Prosecutor Gavin. Your witness is a mistake.
The greener they are, the harder they fall. Suppose there's no substitute for experience. Valent Grammar, as you reminded us several times, your lucky color is yellow, but the IV is clearly not. Well? This contradiction can mean only one thing. And to think, you almost had me. I see your true colors now, Ace Attorney Phoenix Wright.
Something you'd like to tell us, Prosecutor Gavin? As far as the court can tell, the witness testimony does contradict the evidence.
Ha ha ha, yes, a contradiction. One that I shall be pleased to hand right back to Mr. Wright. How do you mean? How? Because the witness has made no mistakes. I agree at a glance the IV liquid does appear sort of greenish yellow, but I assure you the liquid itself is quite yellow.
Yellow liquid? How can you say that?
That's useful.
As far as I can tell from this photo, it's green.
Yes, but what color is the IV bag itself? The bag? You mean the plastic bag on the hook?
That looks like I want to say light blue.
Precisely. Figured it out yet? Put a yellow liquid in a blue bag and you get green. This, incidentally, is the liquid's true color.
I see. Your explanation does have the ring of truth to it.
As I thought. There's no substitute for experience, Prosecutor Gavin. What? You may tell a good tale, but you've just proven something rather grave. For you, that is. Grave? The liquid in the IV is yellow, yes. But how did this witness know that? It's quite unnatural when you think about it. You did think about it, didn't you? You seem to be slipping into my voice a little bit there, Wright. Your Honor, the defense requests an explanation from the witness. At the scene of the crime, the IV liquid appears to be green. So let me ask, how did the witness know the IV liquid was actually yellow? Alakazam! Devil bunnies. Order! Order! Order!
Mr. Wright, you explain this at once. The witness clearly knew the color of the IV liquid. So it should mean something, but what?
I can think of only one possibility, Your Honor. The witness, Valiant Grammray, has testified that the IV liquid was yellow because it looked yellow, he'd seen it before, or he knew the IV liquid's color. What do you... I mean, it's not just it looked yellow, because clearly it looked green. Okay, you're not offering anything.
I was thinking.
From the facts before us, the answer is clear. The witness knew that the IV liquid was yellow.
Oh.
Why? Because he'd seen it before. Okay, great, so it was the same no matter what I picked? But not inside the blue bag we see in the photo. He saw the liquid by itself in a clear, colorless bag.
I suppose you will have had to, but I'm still not clear as to what all this means.
Ask yourself, why would he know if he didn't work at a hospital? That's where you'll find your meaning, Your Honor. I'm afraid I find nothing, so what if he knew the IV liquid's color? Leave the getting excited over absolutely nothing to our teeny bopper fans, yeah? The IV liquid is the only evidence proving the time of death. A 30-minute hourglass with 20 minutes worth of sand remaining. Your claim, Prosecutor Gavin.
I remember it well.
However, there's a critical difference between an hourglass and an IV bag.
Wait, I know. An hourglass used sand, but an IV bag used liquid. I'm right?
As much as it pains me to say this, Your Honor, no. Unlike the sands through an hourglass, IV liquid enters the patient's body, at which point, like magic, it disappears. However, what if the amount of IV liquid had increased? You couldn't tell, could you? After all, there's no way of knowing how much went in. Let me get this straight here, Wright. You're saying the witness watered down the victim's IV bag? Not with water, but with IV liquid. That's how you knew the IV liquid was yellow. Now wait! I said wait! How might an amateur such as myself essay to perform such a task? I'm an amateur too, but I can pour water into a cup. I'm afraid there's quite a big difference between a cup and an IV bag. Quite. Can you prove our witness is capable of such a feat?
He has a point. Amateurs. I at least would have some difficulty pouring IV liquid into that bag.
You don't need to be an expert to see the look on the witness's face. He added liquid to that IV to throw off the time of death. I tire of these fairy tales lacking evidence.
Well, Mr. Wright has solid evidence. Bring us back down to earth.
Valiant Grammray, I'm afraid your magic won't serve you well in a life of crime. Might I ask what you're strongly suggesting? Magic relies on props, and props become evidence. Our witness was certainly able to increase the amount of IV liquid in the bag. All he had to do was work a little magic, and the prop was...
Oh,
Gotta be the syringe, right?
Yeah. The victim's syringe?
It's the perfect prop for the magically increasing IV trick, and easy enough for an amateur to use. What kind of evidence is that? The syringe was clean, not a trace of liquid in it. And don't you find that odd, Prosecutor Gavin? What? The victim had the syringe to administer his insulin shots. There should have been traces of insulin left inside. Well, Valiant Graham-Ray, as you pointed out yourself, the IV liquid makes the perfect clock. One that you could manipulate at will. Alakazar!
Easy. I do believe, well, with this being his first, that the burden of the trial has been a bit too much to bear for Prosecutor Gavin. I'm afraid that while there's a doubt as to the amount of IV liquid in that bag, the time of death cannot be proven. And that brings our trial to a close for today.
Well, maybe I can squeeze an extra day out of this. I can do a little much needed investigation work.
See that? No objections. Court is adjourned.
Truly, there's no substitute for experience. Nothing blinds one to the truth so effectively. A word to the wise. Underestimate the young, and they'll sweep your feet out from under you. In a way you never ever expected. You see, I know exactly what you're thinking. What's he talking about? You say the witness used the syringe to manipulate the level of the IV liquid, but there is no proof. There's no proof he didn't do it either. Yes, quite true. Huh? He's admitting it? Nor was this witness quite as decisive as I'd hoped. This, I admit. After all, why linger in the past when the future holds so much?
You have something to... Okay.
Proof, Herr Judge. I have another way to prove my case. With evidence, no less.
What's this?
This is the victim, Magnifi Graham-Ray's diary. Diary? After going into the hospital, Magnifi began writing his memoirs, it seems. The story of his birth, his startling debut, and of meeting his disciples. It seems he intended for the last chapter to end, quite appropriately, with his death. Wait, that book doesn't say what the reason was, does it? The reason why his disciples couldn't refuse his last request? Sadly, it does not. What's important here is on the last page. Apparently, the victim wrote in his journal that night, even after the IV had begun at 11 p.m. Let's read it, shall we? Tonight's IV is in, maybe the last. Wait, should I read it, or do you want to do the judge's voice?
You should read it.
Tonight's IV is in, maybe the last.
They can hide the dialogue with one on the back, so it goes...
Thank you. Tonight's IV is in for the third time, maybe the last. I leave the rest to them. The first should come soon. This journal may end here, or it may go on, but not long. That depends on his hand. All that is left to mine is to lay down this pen. Now you can do the judge.
The stars appear to have been written just before his death. The court accepts this into evidence.
Magnifi's diary added to the court record. Read the very last part with particular care. This journal may end here or it may go on, but not long. That depends on his hand. Of course, by his, he refers to our defendant, Zach Graham-Ray.
That makes sense, yes. He was the first scheduled visitor, after all.
But look at what he said before that. This journal may end here, or it may go on. It may go on. Magnifi Graham-Ray intended to write again. That is, if Zach Graham-Ray didn't pull the trigger. I see the defense understands the meaning of this. The victim's diary does not go on. It ends. Because Magnafy's life was brought to an end by the defendant, Zach Gramarye.
Order, order, order! Prosecutor Gavin! Are you certain that Magnafy Gramarye wrote this?
There is no mistaking his handwriting.
Oh, this does seem to be significant. According to this, Magnafy did intend to continue his diary. Yet if his diary ended here, which plainly it did,
Then the one who pulled the trigger was the first visitor, Zach Gramarye. Well, how do you like me now, Herr Wright? Still too green for your tastes? He's right about the diary being pretty clear. Still, I find it hard to believe that he'd overlook such an obvious problem with this precious evidence.
well, Mr. Wright,
Oh, I don't want to do it.
you gotta do it, man.
I don't want to do it.
There's an assessment report is lacking. Put together with this evidence, it seems quite sufficient for a case.
If the diary is accepted like this, the trial's over. Maybe it's time for me to show them something. No need. Wait,
You can't
can I just change the course of history? Because the trial already happened, so...
Okay, save and see what happens if you click no need.
I don't like anything about this situation, but the judge is already getting twitchy with his gavel, so I'd better show them something quick, or else... I'm left with no choice. I clicked no need.
There's no escaping fate.
Son of a bitch.
There's no escaping fate.
What was the point of giving me the illusion of choice?
There's no escaping fate. The path moves forward all the same.
I'm left with no choice but to show my own evidence.
What? You have some evidence that will return to this diary?
It's not too late to rethink this and avoid more embarrassment.
Very well. Please show us your evidence, Mr. Wright.
Incidentally, don't even think of showing us this diary I've just shown the court.
Damn it, that's all I was doing.
Now that we've come this far, I hope you have something a little more decisive. Show us evidence that proves the victim's continued writing this. Show us evidence that proves the victim continued writing his diary. All right, I'd be happy to. The decisive evidence proving that the diary didn't end with this page is...
Quick, you're bad! So you're bad! Anything else?
What's the point? The game's not gonna let me do anything else.
Accepting your fate. You've gone through the 5 stages of grief.
First, take a close look at this diary. I mean, we could just point out there was a page missing. We didn't have to show this. Note that a page has clearly been ripped out.
What's this? I didn't notice that at all.
That's why we're still here talking about this. As it just so happens, I have here what I believe to be the missing page. Alaka, I don't believe it! Looking at this page, it's hard to imagine that the first visitor that night shot Magnafy Gramarye. That's the defense's position.
Wait, let me see that.
I should have let you play as Phoenix. Yeah, we've seen it.
What in Sam Hill? Why, there's no continuation of the victim's diary.
Note the torn edge of the page. It's a perfect match with the torn remnants of the last page in Magnafy's diary. Quite remarkable. Would you care to explain what all this means, Herr Attorney? The diary continued after his first visitor came, which means that the victim was still alive after Zach Gramarye left, leaving no one to take his life but the second visitor.
This hurts.
Valiant Gramarye.
This hurts physically.
No!
The handwriting, too, matches down on the other pages. This is without doubt the genuine article. Order, order, order!
But wait, that's impossible. That old man couldn't have written that. Finally, you just couldn't resist, could you, Herr Wright? Resist what? Presenting solid evidence? Herr Judge?
Yes, Prosecutor Gavin?
Might I request we put the current cross-examination on hold?
No.
The prosecution would like to call a new witness.
But Prosecutor Gavin, this evidence overturns the current witnesses.
I ask only to put it on hold. Please. My new witness has a very, very important piece of testimony to give. 5 minutes. No more. I promise, Your Honor.
Well, if you put it that way, Mr. Wright, what's your take on this?
Well, Your Honor, judging from his enthusiasm, we'll have to hear this new testimony sooner or later anyway. So it might as well be sooner.
Then do this highly irregular.
Though.
Yep. We'll put the current cross-examination on hold. Let's be stepped down. Now, Prosecutor Gavin, please bring the surprise witness to the courtroom. No, don't.
I had a bad feeling just then.
I have a bad feeling about this.
That ripped out page was too obvious. He must have known. That dirty dog. And I should have known it was a bad sign all around.
Holding trial with no audience is a first, even for me, Prosecutor Gavin.
I beg the court's understanding, but I had to make a judiciary deal with the witness to secure his testimony. A judiciary deal? The details of his testimony may have some legal ramifications, shall we say. I thought it best to contain the information to this room.
Very well. And you're the witness, I gather?
Yes, sir. State your name and occupation for the record. My name's Drew Measham. I'm a painter.
Painter? You're somehow related to this case.
No, well, not per se. I have one simple question for this witness. Mr. Measham, was it? Do you know what this is? Oh, yeah, I know it well. How's that possible? Have you seen this diary page somewhere before? Oh, yeah, I mean, I made it. You what? You made it?
No.
Yes, you might call it one of my works. The prosecutor's office received the tip-off yesterday. Illegal evidence has been prepared for the trial of Zach Grameray.
Illegal evidence?
I initiated an investigation and found this witness. A painter to the world at large, Drew Measham has another side, you might say. He is skilled in making perfect reproductions of certain things. Forgeries, in other words. Forgeries.
Well, so we ought to understand that this page is
A fake, prepared by a certain defense attorney. Hold it. I didn't prepare this evidence. The attorney speaks. Something about this page, I presume? But what is he saying? It makes no sense. After all, it was you who presented this evidence to us, Phoenix, Wright.
witness. Mr. Measham, was it? Who requested this forgery? Who was your client?
That, I don't know. What?
Most of my clients prefer to remain anonymous, even to me. I make the items they want and receive my payment. And that's the extent of...
But there's no proof this is a fake.
It's a fake.
Huh?
To avoid just this sort of problem, I always put a special mark on my works. I can say without a doubt, this is mine.
No, Phoenix, no. No. Mr. Wright, you have just presented legal evidence to this court, my court. I'm going to kill you now.
It was careless of me. That's all I can say. Oh, we don't have Johnny out here.
Oh boy! Here.
What's this?
I don't know. I just got over there in the hall. He told me to give you the old 12 boy in blue suit, spiky hair. It was really important.
It was all a trap. A fatal trap. And that's why I took Trucy under my wing, so one day I could get my revenge.
Mr. Wright,
Yes.
do you have an explanation for yourself?
If I did, would the court hear it?
Probably not. Forging evidence is a serious crime. And presenting it in court, a serious mistake. A fatal mistake for an attorney.
Fatal too, perhaps, for your client, I fear. Tell me, what kind of defendant relies on forged evidence? The answer is quite clear. A guilty one. Your Honor, wait. I understand that presenting forged evidence in court is a serious crime, but you cannot hold my client responsible for actions I undertook as an individual.
I am sorry, Mr. Wright.
Your Honor, another close call, I dare say. If the prosecutor's office hadn't received that hot tip, everything would have gone the way you wanted it to, yeah? I even gave you a chance. Too bad you decided not to think before embarrassing yourself.
I see no need for further discussion on the matter. Special witness dismissed.
Mr. Attorney,
Yes?
could I ask your name?
Phoenix Wright.
Mr. Wright, I've seen and studied many people, but none like you. I remember you, Mr. Wright.
Though I deeply regret having to declare a verdict in this way. This trial is over. You have the right to find a new attorney and make an appeal. However, this court must...
Your Honor.
Yes, Mr. Zack?
There's one thing I wish to make clear. Today, in this courtroom, you cannot declare me guilty. It is impossible.
I'm afraid the defense is quite mistaken. I most certainly have the authority to declare a verdict on you.
Except, tell me, how do you plan on announcing your verdict? When your defendant does not exist?
Doesn't exist? What are you talking about?
I am talking about this.
What the fuck?
Mr. Enigmar. The defendant's escaped. Find him.
Bailiff! Close all exits from the building! On the double, he must not be allowed to escape!
And he was never seen again.
That day, in that courtroom, a miracle occurred. The defendant, Shady Enigmar, aka Zach Grameray, did not just escape from court. He literally, unbelievably vanished. Right before the bailiff's eyes. No one ever saw him again, not since that day. This is the Grameray miracle. This is the Grameray miracle! Ah ha 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 ha! No verdict was declared. After all, the defendant didn't exist. That's how it happened. The child magician, Zach Grameray, vanished along with him for all eternity. The mysteries that remained behind were all solved, however. But not until 7 years later.
Thanks for watching this episode of Gabby the Game. Now I can't subscribe. Good service and more money.
I'm too overcome. It's so sad what happened to our boy.
Good night.
Gabby the Game Knight, Gabby the Game Knight, Gabby the Game Knight, yay. Come on and watch her play. New games every other day. If you subscribe now, you won't miss out on any of the action. So come on, click that subscribe button.